Hello, my name is William. For as long back as I can remember, I have this strange feeling that someone is stalking me. But the last few months the feeling had gotten much stronger. Strong enough that wherever I go, whatever I am doing, I can expect to see a shadow. It's like a silhouette. I can't make out no features. It is ruining everything I love to do. I love cycling for miles and miles, but even if I'm cycling on a bike, I can feel the shadow behind me, and even a lot of times, see it. I felt like I was going crazy. One night I was kissing my girlfriend, and that damn shadow showed up, and I got a start and jumped, frightening my girlfriend. She must have thought I was so weird, and I couldn't explain it to her. How is she going to feel about me? I say, oh, by the way, a lot of the time I see a shadow chasing me. That is a sure and fast track way of making her my ex. One day I couldn't take it anymore, so I went to see a doctor who was able to help me find out what the hell was going on with me. The doctor said, "Hello, William. My name is Dr. Frederick Stone. I am going to try to help you get to the bottom of what is bothering you by using a method called regression hypnosis. Some doctors claim to go back so far in a person's life that they may even uncover things about any past lives they might have had. But I'm sure we won't have to go back that long. You see, William, what I feel like is happening you from what you told me over the phone is you are suppressing memories that cause you pain, but sometimes those memories are coming to the surface in the shape of a shadow that you imagine. It is your subconscious telling you there is a problem that you're trying to forget. After a few minutes I was in a hypnotic state, and I could see myself back in my house in a dark room with my twin brother. We were only kids and we were playing murder in the dark. It was a game that you had to search around the dark and touch someone to kill them. That's only in the game, of course. That's how I can remember playing it anyway. I pushed my twin brother too much and didn't realize there was something in front of him to trip him, and he fell down on the ground and banged his head. I could just hear the bang, but didn't realize what had happened until I put the light on and saw my twin brother lying in a pool of blood. And he was really dead. It all came flooding back to me now, and I woke up in the doctor's office with my blood thumping in my ears. I now know that it was not my imagination when I saw my doctor give a strange look behind me, and I turned around and saw the silhouette behind me, and knew my doctor saw it too. The difference is now I know that that silhouette is the ghost of my dead twin brother.
Hi, this is Kate Valentine. I'm responding about the request you put on the police auction materials. I bought a few kids' books from that auction, actually a whole crate of them. At the time, I didn't look at them, I just put them on the bargain shelf in order of the authors' names. I had never heard of the author or the book title, so I gave them all orange stickers, which meant 50 cents each. One day, it was particularly dead, so I paged through them, and I noticed this one with very simple, minimalistic drawings called Dave's Days. There was no cohesive story. Unlike other children's books that use each page as a part of a lesson, here there was none of that. One page was the Dave character sitting at a kitchen table with a mug in front of him. He was the kind of stick figure you see on bathroom doors. Dave's kitchen was written in block letters above him. The whole book was like that. Just Dave, sitting alone in one setting or another, the park, the library. I put the book away and looked through the others and found another one in the Dave series. This one was called Dave and His Friends. The cover was Dave outside his house, like the first, but next to him stood a little girl with a blonde ponytail. 2 boys and a girl, all brown-haired with freckles, looked out from the window inside the house. This book was all about Dave and these kids doing things together and going places like to the park and getting ice cream. Every time Dave did something nice for them, they'd say, "Dave is my friend." But since no one has a mouth and therefore no one is smiling, it only makes the whole thing odd, like when you read a happy text message without an exclamation mark. I put the book away. Later that night, I decided to Google the titles of the books. When I got nothing, I just Googled the things in the book, and eventually I Googled the phrase, "Dave is my friend." An article came up. It was about a girl named Jennifer Holland who had gone missing sometime earlier and about how her parents hadn't given up hope. It also alluded to police being suspicious of them as the circumstances of her disappearance were strange. They said they woke up to find their front door open and Jennifer gone. 2 things really struck me from the article. The first was that the last name Holland seemed significant. I couldn't remember why until I went back to the Dave books and saw that Dave lived in Hollandtown. The second thing, I'll get to that in a sec. After hours of searching for more information, I stumbled across a forum. I don't remember where, maybe on Reddit, but one subject said, "Has anyone read Dave and the Others?" It was a guy with the handle Oregon Ollie who had found an eerily similar book. The post was 2 years old. Later, I searched for Oregon Ollie, but his account was inactive. When he Googled the book, he didn't find anything either. But, like me, he started Googling everything in the book and found a news story, just like I had. 3 siblings had been found dead at Chipewyan Lake in Canada. They lay on the shore, holding hands. Their last name was Robin. They died from exposure. Mr. and Mrs. Robin woke up in the middle of the night by a cold wind the night their kids went missing. The door had been left wide open. It was January. The police found a note at the Robin home left by the kids, but the article said the investigators would not release the contents to the public. Oregon Ollie said that in his book, there were 3 red robins that would fly over Dave's head when he got sad. The book was mostly a man walking the city sidewalks at night or sitting at a park bench alone with the stars over him. Whenever Dave seemed sad, the robins would come and fly over his head, and he would just look up and watch. The second thing that I mentioned earlier that struck me in the first article I read was that Jennifer Holland had drawn a picture before she went missing. It was of a stick figure man and herself. Her parents didn't know what it was. She had written, "Dave is my friend," on it. I don't have the books anymore. I went back through them after reading Oregon Ollie's account, and seeing those 3 kids in the window of Dave's house freaked me out, so I threw them away. I still think about it, though. Sometimes I wish I kept them, but the thought of having them near me gives me the chills. I wasn't going to mention this, but after I read the Reddit account, I wrote my own post about it. No one ever picked up on it, but right after that, I started getting phone calls. When I answered, I would hear some electrical buzzing, but that was it. First, the calls were just at my house, but then I got them on my cell and even at work. Slowly, it died down, but I still get them from time to time. The last thought that crosses my mind when I lock my doors at night is, I wonder if it's Dave calling me. And I wonder if he's there somewhere, watching my house when I go to bed. Sometimes I move my bureau in front of the door just to be safe.
Yeah!
Jack and Linda were devastated one night in 2015 when their beloved dog Huck had gone missing one day during the summer. They both hoped for a week on end that the dog would turn up, and even though it was chipped, they didn't seem to be able to track it. Jack put it down to criminals stealing the dog and removing the chip. Linda didn't want to buy another pet, as she said it would just cause too much emotion with her and her loving memories of Huck. In 2020, Linda was sitting out in the garden, enjoying the sunshine, when she heard something move in the garden. She was surprised, so turned around. To her surprise, she saw a dog with an uncanny resemblance to Huck. It had been 5 years, and she wondered, how could the dog have came back after all this time? She couldn't help herself, so she called the dog in a friendly tone. "Here, Huck." Suddenly the dog barked very aggressively. Linda was surprised. She thought of something, but wouldn't find the bravery to check with the dog being so aggressive. But still she saw it. The brown patch under Huck's neck proved to Linda it was really Huck. She was so happy that he had returned, but wondered what made him so angry. She couldn't believe her eyes. After 5 years, Huck had finally came home. She was going to call her husband, but had decided to surprise him when he came home. That evening, when Jack had come home and saw what Linda's surprise was, he seemed to have gone pale. Linda wondered what was wrong, as she was certain Jack would be delighted to see Huck return. Suddenly Huck jumped right up and mauled Jack until his body was lying on the ground lifeless. That night she had a call from her friend Mike. She listened in shock to what Mike had to say. "Linda, I can't understand what is happening, and I'm sure there is an explanation, but I was the only one Jack had told. 5 years ago, Jack accidentally ran over Huck in the driveway and killed him. I helped him bury Huck. Linda, I don't know how this is possible, but before I called you, I went to where we buried him. The dog's bones and everything are gone. There is nothing there." Linda heard a noise behind her, and Huck was standing right next to her and started barking, then jumped right for her. Two police officers were driving down the road on a quiet summer night when they spotted something strange. There was a car stopped at the side of the road, but it was in a position that a car shouldn't stop in since it was out in the middle of the road. Two of the police officers walked around to the car to investigate, and they nearly got sick when they realized what they saw. They had seen a woman lying lifeless inside the car with towels stuffed into her body and most of her organs removed. One of the police officers turned around and got sick but the other was more experienced and was used to seeing sick things, so he just took out his notebook and started writing down notes. Then he rang back to the station to call in the crime scene. The police officers wondered what type of sick person could do that to anyone. They wondered, was it some dark ritual or even a sacrifice taking the baby out of the body, because there were really strange stories around the town for years and years of witchcraft rituals in the woods, and this road was by the woods. When they went back to investigate more, looking into the car, they felt a strange presence, and when they looked back into the back seat, they froze in fear of what they saw. They turned around and saw a baby stare at them, and not cry or whimper, but they still knew the baby was alive. They couldn't comprehend how the baby got into the car, and also wondered how the baby could have survived being taken out of the mother's body. The two officers seemed to be in a daze. When they took the baby out of the car, one of the officers realized there was a newspaper article stuck in the baby's hand. It was as if the baby was clutching onto it for dear life. The newspaper article was about a serial killer that died in prison 2 days ago, and before his death he became obsessed with being reborn through a human sacrifice. It sounded sick, so he didn't read on. One of the officers had a crazy idea he didn't tell anyone, but since he had the opportunity he went ahead with it, and knew people in the right places, so he got someone to run a DNA test on the baby. A shiver ran up his spine when he realized a hit came up on file, which was the same match as the murderer who wrote the notes about being reborn through a human sacrifice.